Home with God, Chapter 28. In death, all of your individual identities are shed, ending the separation of you from you at last. The moment of emergence is at hand. The power and the wonder of this moment are indescribable. The information and the knowing that comes from it is, at the conscious level, unembraceable. Only at the superconscious level can it be contemplated, much less absorbed. Just prior to the emergence, the soul hovers before the light. It basks in the glow of the essence. All feelings of fear or apprehension or uneasiness of any kind dropped away during the race through the passage. Now the essence is radiating pure love, and the soul before it experiences what can only be described as an enveloping sense of being covered. Imagine a pancake being covered in warm syrup, or ice cream being covered in warm chocolate. It feels like that. It feels like a flow of sweet heat to the just arriving soul. It is a gentle warmth, covering the soul entirely. Together with this heat comes a feeling for which there is no single word in the world of physical sensation. It is the feeling of being seen, utterly and completely. Nothing can now be hidden. Nothing can now be overlooked or missed. Nothing can escape notice. Everything good and everything bad that the soul may have thought of itself is now spread before it, and astonishingly, all of it, the bad and the good, is slowly being absorbed by the light, accepted as its own, is how it feels. Through a kind of energy osmosis that melts even the smallest sense of shame or pride, leaving the soul with a beautiful emptiness, holding nothing at all within itself, and experiencing nothing at all of itself, save openness. Now into this openness, where shame and pride once coexisted, a new feeling is being poured. First, it felt as if the outside of the soul was being covered. Now it feels as if the inside of the soul is being filled. Again, words cannot be found to adequately define or accurately describe this feeling, partly because the feeling is so huge. It might be characterized as a single, enormous, conglomerate feeling that encompasses 1,000 individual feelings, now slowly filling the soul. A feeble attempt would call it the feeling of being warmly embraced, deeply comforted, dearly cherished, profoundly appreciated, genuinely treasured, softly nurtured, profoundly understood, completely forgiven, wholly absolved, long awaited, happily welcomed, totally honored, joyously celebrated, absolutely protected, instantly perfected, and unconditionally loved, all at once. Releasing without the slightest hesitation or regret any and all sense of individual selfhood, the soul moves into the light. There it is submerged in something so wondrous that it loses all desire to ever know anything else. Melting into the breathtaking glory of unending magnificence, unparalleled beauty, and unequaled completeness of being. Now you are merged with this light, and you feel dissolved. This melting completes the change in your identity. You no longer identify yourself in any way or at any level with the separate aspect of being that you called you in your physical life. This characteristic of the afterlife actually begins to assert itself in the first stage of death, which is what made it possible for you to experience whatever you chose to experience immediately after you died, including your own hell, without pain or suffering. It will be important to you again in just a moment when you enter the core of your being. What occurs here when you are embraced by the light is that you merge with your soul. You come to know at last that you are not a body and not a mind and not even solely spirit, but all three. This is what the entire death process is about. Remember that I have said, the death process is about re-establishing your identity. The first stage of the death process releases you from your body and any thoughts that you may still have that identify you with the body and its appearance. The second stage of the death process releases you from your mind and any thoughts you may still have that identify you with the mind and its contents. The third stage of the death process releases you from your soul and any thoughts you may still have that identify you with your soul and its individuality. Here, in the total immersion of self, you come to a place where knowing and experiencing are one, and where what you know and experience is that you are not your body, you are not your mind, and you are not your soul. You are something much greater. You are the sum total of the energies that produce all three. In death, all of your individual identities are shed, ending the separation of you from you at last. You know what? I thought you were going to say that what I was experiencing here was God having come to greet me. That is exactly what we are talking about here. But you just said you still seem to think in terms of a separation between you and God, And I am saying again that there is none. While you may not believe this now, at the moment of your physical life, in the moment of emergence, you will have no doubt of it whatsoever. Gosh, that sounds wonderful. I can't wait. You don't have to.